Now, our next guest is the son of a Jewish orphan and a Muslim bus driver who was born into abject poverty in the slums of the Iranian capital, Tehran. As a boy, he witnessed the fall of the Shah and would later be kidnapped and tortured before being forced to work as a spy for the Islamic Secret Service.
His name is Kooshyar Karimi, and these days he's a doctor living with his family in Sydney. He's just become an author, and his book, I Confess, tells his remarkable life story. Good morning. Thank you so much for being here. Now, the book starts on the night of your birth, but this story begins earlier than that with your mother, who was an orphan Jew in Iran and had you at just 17 years old.
Yes, those 40 years ago in slums of Tehran, it was quite common to be born in the streets and die a few minutes later. And luckily my mom was rescued by a policeman. And,
you were born in the back of a police car?
Yes, I was.
Of all places?
Yes, actually, yeah.
How challenging, how tough was it growing up, firstly in poverty, but also secondly as a Jew in Iran?
It was really difficult to... I had to run a double life all through my life, and I felt like I'm walking through a minefield. Just one wrong word or wrong turn will get you in big trouble. So I had to keep it secret to myself all the time.
There's one really telling quote in the book. You say, Jews in Iran, being a Jew in Iran means maintaining the sort of precarious existence that a canary would experience in a house full of cats.
That's what exactly I felt.
So that revelation, because you found out that you were a Jew at the age of 5, how did that affect you growing up?
That was the core of my personality. That's anything, the way I really thought, and everything was around this deep faith that I had this God and my belief, and how I see my my background. I realized that we're coming from a land called Israel, and we have a mission in life to keep our faith to the God. And my mission was actually to become a doctor and help my family and help all the people in the slums of Iran to end the suffering, really.
And you became a doctor, and as if your life wasn't challenging enough, you started performing abortions. Many women were rape victims. That, of course, put you under extreme scrutiny by the authorities. Why did you make that decision in the first place, and how difficult was that to keep performing that task?
I really had no choice here, because I was facing these women who were raped, and most of them were rape victims. And
they had nowhere else to go, essentially?
No, because abortion is illegal in Iran. There's a capital punishment for it. And a girl at age 9 in Iran can get married with her father's consent, and at age 13, a girl can get married without parents' consent. That's the religious constitution in Iran. That I see that as a rape sometimes as well. Like a 12-year-old girl could get married to a 40-year-old man with another 2 wives at the same time. So these girls were really suicidal, and I was giving them a second chance to live. So it was justified in my mind to do it.
How did you end up being a spy for the Iranian secret intelligence?
Being a spy wasn't my choice either. I was arrested in 1998, and I was tortured for 62 days, physically and emotionally. Torture is a common practice in the Middle East, unfortunately. And at the end, they gave me a chance to survive, and it was if I decide I will cooperate with intelligence service, and I really wanted to go home and see my daughter. I couldn't tolerate any more torture, so I signed the paper and I started cooperating. And
the torture you outline in the book, man, I found it very hard to read. It was very, very tough. You know, whips, cigarette butts on your chest. It's amazing how anybody could survive such an experience.
You have to be a superhuman to tolerate that, but the biggest part of torture is emotional and psychological torture. You are in extreme fear, and any moment you feel like you're going to be killed, you're going to be executed at any moment.
And at times you felt as though you just wanted to die to avoid that torture.
I wanted to be killed and to stop this process of continuous torture. Yeah.
Why do you think you did survive, and did it have anything to do with how tough your upbringing was, the fact that you went to work at the age of 5?
I think I survived and I kept my sanity by keeping my faith in my Jewish religion, and because through my mom's inspiration, all through my life, by reading books to me, I always had this mission in my life to discover beauty and love. And even in the slums of Iran, I could see the beauty in people. That's how I survived and ended up coming to Australia.
Your forced cooperation with the secret police as a result of that torture led to the arrest of quite a few Iranian Jews. And in fact, you've said you've written this book in part as atonement for that. But do you ever feel as though you will atone? It's obviously something you feel extremely guilty about.
I do feel guilty, and I don't think there's forgiveness for me. I haven't forgiven myself. But I wrote this book actually to show to the world what's happening in Iran in the last 3 decades in terms of violation of human rights and discrimination against women and minorities, really. And writing the book was a healing process for me.
You then fled to Turkey and managed to come to Australia as a refugee. What was that process like, and what do you make of the current political debate in Australia around refugees and people who come here by boat?
That was extremely hard again. I spent 13 months in Turkey with my children as an asylum seeker, and at the end, United Nations recognized me as a political refugee and sent me to Australia, which was very fortunate. Australia has been extremely kind to me and my family. I'm living in a small paradise in New South Wales, and I'm practicing there. I practice with passion and with care, really, for people of Australia, because they gave me a second chance to live. I think we should give a second chance to any refugee, anyone who is desperate and trying to take refuge to Australia. And I don't think it's justified to detain families and women and children in detention centers. I think we should process the applications more quickly.
Kooshyar Karimi, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Thank you for having me.